Hogstye.
It is amazing to me. Steve, you and I both predicted a loss this game. I wouldn't have predicted them to lose the way they did. I would not have predicted the game to go the way it went. And that is football right in a nutshell. You never quite know what's going to happen.
I would like to point out that I hit the score almost dead on. I believe I predicted 21-17 and it was 2016.
Yeah, you were 1 point off on each team, which is pretty impressive.
Yeah.
But even so, I don't think either of us kind of saw what came to be what would happen, you know? Losing your starting quarterback.
On offense, Washington offense-wise, I was kind of with it. Washington defense-wise, stuff happened in this game that I did not expect. I expected the result, but for a different reason. Let me say it like that.
Yeah. Well, we'll get into all that right now on the show. Guys, so Washington loses this one by 4, 20-16. So, in case you couldn't figure that out from what Steve said just now.
From saying 20-16, you mean?
Well, you said you were off by 1 point.
Okay,
so
fine.
Yeah. 20-16 loss for Washington. Ryan Fitzpatrick goes out early in the game with an injury. Heineke comes in. Some of the weirdest calls by refs I think I've ever seen. I know apparently this is a new rule that if the ball gets touched at all, it's now a fumble. I guess I don't really know. That's a weird one.
If I were a Chargers fan,
right,
I would be really upset about the refereeing at this game.
Oh,
I
absolutely.
think the refs were in the tank for Washington. Maybe
they were
unintentionally, but they were. So here's the stats. Why
don't we start with those, and then we'll get into the offense.
The Washington quarterback room collectively was 14 for 21 for 133 yards, 1 touchdown, 100.3 rating. Fitzpatrick was 3 for 6 for 13 when he went out. Heineke was 11 for 15, 122 yards, 1 touchdown, quarterback rating of 119.3. Rushing-wise, Antonio Gibson was 20 for 90 yards, 4.5 yards per carry. Heineke was 3 for 17. Jarrett Patterson was 2 for 9. McKissick was 1 for 8. And then Fitzpatrick was 1 for 2. Terry McLaurin was leading receiver, 4 for 62 on 4 targets. Logan Thomas was 3 for 30. Antonio Gibson, 3 for 18. Cam Sims, 1 for 17. And a whole bunch of ads just popped up on my screen out of nowhere, and I'm going to have to refresh the page.
Okay, well, while you do that.
No, I got it. I'm back.
Oh, you're back.
Good
internet.
Really weird.
Good internet.
Yeah, it was. Jarrett Patterson, 2 for 9. I said all that. Okay. Adam Humphries is 2 for 10, and that was Washington on offense. On San Diego offense, Justin Herbert was 31 for 47, 337 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, 85.1 quarterback rating. Austin Eckler, 15 for 57, 3.8 yards per attempt. In the air, receiving wise, Keenan Allen was 9 for 100 yards on 13 targets. Mike Williams was 8 for 82, 12 targets. Jared Cook, 5 for 56. Jalen Guyton, 3 for 49. It goes down from there. Defensively, and yet again, I have ads talking in my ear. On defense, Washington defense, that is. Cole Holcomb, 11 tackles total. Bobby McCain, 10. John Bostic, 8. Kendall Fuller, 5. And it goes down from there. They did miraculously somehow have 2 sacks, even though it didn't feel like it. Jonathan Allen, 1. Montez Sweat, 1. And that is stats. Oh, we gotta do the punting thing.
Okay,
so punting.
How many punts did Tressway have? That's
3 punts. And so let me just give you the numbers here. So Washington had 133 yards passing and 126 yards punting or rushing, and so that is 259 yards.
Right.
So did Tressway out punt the offense?
I'm going to say no, because I don't think he had 5 or 6 punts. I think he only had 4.
Yeah, I said he had 3.
Yeah.
So 130. No, Tressway did not out punt the offense today.
Right.
So congratulations, offense. You outgained the punter. So that's progress.
Yay.
And that's stat. Yeah, I know. Yay. Somebody blow a sad whistle.
Yeah.
So that's stats, Alex. As sad as they are.
Yeah, they were pretty sad. There were some positives to take from this game for this offense. I think Gibson played well for the most part, other than that one fumble that kind of lost them the game, obviously. He was running the ball very well in the first half. They need to. Let's start by talking about the running game.
Okay.
Gibson plays well when you put him in there. He can't be the only back. And I think that's probably obvious at this point in his career. You need to give him more relief from Patterson and McKissick than what they gave him in this game. He's not a workhorse yet. That's not where he is.
He only had 20 carries, though. I mean, I'm fine with him getting 20 carries. He averaged 4.5 yards per carry. Granted, now, if you subtract the one long run that was in the first quarter, and by the way, just before anybody asks, and before you ask, Alex, I was having technical problems with the way I have to watch these games for the first half of the first quarter, and so I missed the Chargers, the Chargers and the Redskins, but for first drives, including the one they scored a touchdown on.
Right.
The first. So,
sure.
But okay. But anyway, so if you take out the one long run from Gibson,
the 30-yarder or whatever it was,
the 27-yarder, he's averaged. Yeah. So that takes him down to 3.3 yards per attempt for the rest of the game.
Which, okay, not awful. I mean, look, that's kind of how running backs are now. It's like they'll have one or two big runs that kind of make up the difference.
But you want to have them over 4.
Ideally, yes. And then the big run is just the gravy on top of that.
I do think I like Jarrett Patterson. Yeah, I mean, as a general construct, yeah, I mean, I think Patterson needs to get more carries. I'm fine with Gibson having 20. I don't think that's the difference between like 25 and 30. That's workhorse. To me, 20 is okay, but I see your point, and I have no problem giving Jarrett Patterson more carries.
I just, towards the midpoint of that fourth quarter, he just looked gassed. And if you're not getting him, drives off or a couple plays off before that's probably where the issues come in. And, why he does things like he's trying to jump over a guy and then fumbles the ball, like little things like that are because he's probably gassed at that point.
And he got injured, too. They never said what the injury was. I mean, I'm not on Twitter. I don't know if the Twitter Illuminati.
I don't think I didn't see what the injury was.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so at that point, they only gave Patterson like that one drive, and Gibson was right back in there.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I see your point. I think, although I'm fine with 20, but he did look gassed, I think, at some toward the end there.
Yeah. So, the running game was okay. It looks like to me this offense is going to try and go through the running game for now.
As they should.
They should. The run blocking is much better than the pass blocking. So, that's another reason why you'll want to do that. Because, let's be honest, the pass blocking was kind of atrocious throughout this game.
Yes.
Obviously, even with the Fitzpatrick injury play aside, you didn't see many clean pockets for either quarterback. Most of Taylor Heineke's plays came on him getting out of the pocket. And he's a small guy, so maybe that's just part of his game. But Fitzpatrick didn't exactly look comfortable either. And Fitzpatrick is more of a pocket quarterback.
Yeah, they only had one sack, but I think your point is valid, which is the pocket did collapse quite a bit. Obviously, Heineke's going to run a lot more than Fitzpatrick would. He did that. One of them was a designed, rollout thing. But, yeah, I mean, yes, I think the offensive line, generally speaking, looked better in run blocking than pass blocking. Back to Gibson, though, I think he looks a lot better. He looks a lot more like a real NFL running back this year than he did last year.
Because
he really didn't know what he was doing last year.
Picking on him.
No, I know you're not.
Yeah.
I just want to make that clear that he looked like an actual NFL running back this year, not this Mr. Gadget dude that he was. Zone scheme out of the gun and all of this stuff. So I like where Gibson is going. Do they need to get him more help? Yeah, sure, probably.
Yeah, they probably need to give him relief. I think he needs help in the blocking game. I said the pass blocking is worse than the run blocking, but the run blocking wasn't exceptional by any means. If you look at the plays Gibson had the most success on, it's because he, second efforted his way to a first down, or, that big run that he had, it's because he got out of a tackle to, make that play. It's not because of the blocking.
No, I mean, I thought the offensive line looked mediocre at best.
Yeah.
Which is what they frankly should be. The play that Fitzpatrick got hurt on is because Charles Leno looked like a a bull, look like a bullfighter, with the red cape, and
Right.
let's just let him matriculate and proceed on to the quarterback.
Yeah, he didn't do
and
anything.
Get a blindside hit.
He just got dominated, and it wasn't even by Bosa. That's the
It was by Nuoso. It was the other guy.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. So yeah, I thought. I gotta be honest. I mean, the offense looked like I thought it would.
Yeah.
Really. I mean, I didn't expect them to do much. I mean, it hasn't really changed. Aside from the quarterback, what's different? Are you gonna say De'Ami Brown is gonna make a huge difference? I mean, Curtis Samuel isn't there. He's on IR. Which, by the way, that if y'all don't realize that this year it's a 3-week. He can return in 3 weeks. In case anybody doesn't know that. So he's not gone for half a season. And they can bring back an unlimited number of players, so it's a 3-week thing.
Yeah.
But it's the same offense, basically, and now it's the same quarterback, or one of them. So there's no reason to think that they would be any better. That was why I thought they would only score 17 points.
Yeah, I mean, it really does seem like they had a lot of struggles, and that's probably going to continue for a while. If we're talking offense, I think. We can focus on that. We got to focus on one thing that happened. That was that amazing catch by Terry McLaurin.
It was unbelievable. Unbelievable catch. Holy cow.
At full speed, I don't know what happened. Like, physically, I saw it in slow motion, so I understand what happened. But at full speed, I can't see how that happened.
It's like he somehow twisted it in the air, and I don't know. That was one of the best catches I'll ever see.
It looked like an interception that somehow became a catch.
Yes.
And I tweeted this out on our Twitter. Regardless of what happened in that game, that might be one of the most amazing catches you'll ever see in your life.
It definitely was.
It goes up there in that list. And
yes,
they lost. It's a week 1 game, so it's like the lowest value game that you'll ever see. Oh, and it's not conference, but it's still one of the most amazing catches you might ever see in your life.
It was I was blown away by that catch. It was an unbelievable catch, and that's what you get when you have an elite receiver.
Right.
And for those of you out there, because I remember I did that hit with the Browns podcast last year, and those guys didn't believe me when I said, that McLaurin was an elite receiver. He is an elite receiver. He's got unbelievable skills, and he's the sole reason why this offense isn't atrocious, and it hasn't been atrocious for more than a year.
Yeah. I think there's no question there. That was a amazing play, and that's just what we've come to expect from him is, he kind of digs down and gets those kind of plays time to time. And even the most elite receivers don't do that more than 2-3 times a season. We have to remember that too.
And it wasn't a very good pass.
No. It was a 50-50 type ball.
Yeah, it was.
He was hoping, and his hopes were answered. Well, we should talk about it too, since we're talking about the guy who threw it was Heineke. Heineke came in midway through the first, or was it late in the first?
No, it was just no. I see. I take these notes. Remember? Yeah. This happened at 9 minutes left in the second quarter.
Okay, so midway second.
Yeah. Yes.
I don't think we can deny anymore that Heineke has more of a spark when he's playing than a guy like Fitzpatrick, right? Like, is that he brings more energy to it?
I don't think that's fair. I mean, we've seen Fitzpatrick for 18 minutes.
Sure.
I mean, we're gonna brand him with that already. I mean, there's been times when in Fitzpatrick's many other stops that he has provided a spark. And he's been good for stretches of 3-4 games at a time, and then he's looked mediocre like he did today. And so I'm not willing to brand him that just yet. Personally, I mean, we've only seen him for such a short period of time.
Okay.
That's my opinion. You can disagree with me.
I just think that he's got, when Heineke comes in, because he's more mobile, because he can do things like get out of the pocket, and he makes plays like that little shovel pass that McLaurin caught. That was a thing of beauty, too. That little drive they had at the end of the second half to get to the field goal range.
There's no doubt that today the offense, picked up a lot of energy, I guess is the way to say it when he came in. I'm not disagreeing with you in that. I'm just saying I don't think we can just outright carte blanche say, yeah, he brings more energy. And Taylor, when Ryan
you're not
Patrick,
giving up. You're not giving up on.
No, I mean, we've seen him for exactly a quarter and a third.
Okay. All right. I mean, look, I would be shocked if they say we're going to Taylor at this point. If they won the game, maybe you'd see that, but I think they'll probably go back to Fitzpatrick when he's healthy. And by the way,
because it was
I say
right
that
hip,
because
right?
we don't know if Fitzpatrick's going to be back next Thursday yet, right?
Yeah, we're recording this like right after the game, as we always do,
Right.
And so we don't have the benefit of Ron Rivera at the presser, and Ron's not going to say anything anyway. At
They
the
might not
presser
know
about
anything yet. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me. I'm actually looking on Twitter because that's the fast way to get the fastest news. Maybe not the most accurate.
Well, yeah. While he's looking at that, I mean, the only other
Yeah.
injury that I had written down here was Gibson, and Gibson came back in like 3 plays later. So, I think that's probably it.
Yeah.
And I'm looking on Twitter here too now. John Kahn reports that Rivera said at the presser that they don't yet know the severity of Fitzpatrick's injury.
Right.
So there you go.
I've heard I'm seeing he's in good spirits from Logan Thomas to the reporters. So that
As opposed to Logan Thomas saying, "Man, he's really bummed."
yeah, exactly. Well, look, hey, you know what? If it was a bad injury, he would be bummed. Because this is probably his last chance to really start with the team. So
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I mean, he walked to the locker room on his own power, so without a limp or anything.
right,
So that was
right.
It didn't look like the worst thing ever. Hopefully, it's just a
bad
hip
stinger,
bruise or something. Yeah, something.
an
Yeah,
old man
who knows?
bad back situation. That's what we're dealing with.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I feel you, bro.
Yeah, I think I feel him too because he and I are about the same age at this point.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
What else about offense to say here? I mean, it looked pretty much exactly like last year.
Yeah.
In terms of their ability to execute, they didn't execute very well. The offensive line looked mediocre at best. They didn't get a ton of sacks, but Alex is right. I mean, the quarterbacks were harassed quite a bit, today.
They come up with one or two good drives, and that's about it, right?
Right. They can't do anything consistently for 4 quarters.
No.
They haven't in years, to be honest. It's been several years.
Yeah.
It's really been since Alex Smith was healthy in the first part of, what year was that? 2019?
18, I think, isn't it?
Whatever year it was, that was the last time this offense looked consistent, and that was with Alex dunking his way down the field.
Right.
Alex
Smith and Adrian Peterson doing their little old man 1-2 punch situation. That was
Right.
the last year we were decent.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And I think you're right. Maybe it was 2018, but that's the last time. So I just didn't expect anything more than this. The only real difference is De'Ami Brown, and he's a rookie, and he's the third receiver or whatever.
And
I
what
guess
did you
he's
say
the
he
second
had
receiver.
numbers wise? He had one
Numbers
catch?
wise, De'Ami Brown had 1 catch for negative -2 yards at 4 targets.
Right. And 3 of those 4 targets were terrible. The 2 from Heineke were way over his head, and I can't remember that last one, but yeah,
Yeah, I mean, and I get the receivers on the field today
Yeah.
were McLaurin, Humphreys, De'Ami Brown, and Cam Sims, and just the quarterbacking just wasn't very good today generally, and there weren't a lot of passes thrown. So this is what the kind of stats you get.
Right, exactly. I mean, most of their game is coming through the running backs this year. It looks like, at least from this game. Which shouldn't surprise us. The strength of this core, even with Terry McLaurin, kind of leading the way in the wide receiver room, the running back group is probably the strongest group of all of them in terms of top to bottom depth and quality.
Certainly, but if you compare this to the rest of the NFL, I'd say they're somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
know. And by the way, so there were 23 called runs today compared to 21 pass attempts, which doesn't count the sacks. So yeah, they had more runs than passes because the others were scrambles by Heineke and Fitzpatrick.
Right. And what's amazing about that is that's not a lot of play calls.
No, it's not.
The reason for that, of course, is the fact that the defense couldn't get off the field. And we should talk about that because in the first half, I don't remember exactly what the yardage was. You probably can do the math and figure it out. But
I have it.
I think the offense only had 83 yards of offense in the first half, and the defense allowed over 200. It was,
at halftime, we'll go down this.
Yeah.
So at the end of the first quarter, 43 yards running, 13 yards passing, which is 56 yards.
okay, not terrible for a quarter, but
At
not great.
halftime, 30, 53 yards rushing, 30 yards passing, which is 83 total
Yeah,
yards of offense.
that's
So
not good.
yes,
That's not good at all.
no, and defense. I mean, this is where um, I knew Justin Herbert was great, and that's not like an great insight. I
No, no.
mean, or anything, but um, the difference here is I thought our secondary would be weaker. But the truth of the matter is, the front four got shut down completely. They looked horrible.
Yeah.
They didn't really get any pressure on Herbert at all. There were 2 plays I counted significant pressure, really. So I don't know, and a lot of it was just one-on-one blocking. And Brian Bulaga wasn't even out there for half the game, And yes, they had Chase on the right tackle and Montez on that new rookie left tackle for most of the game, which is where they played last year, by the way. But I thought the front four really cost them this game. And for, I don't know, maybe 35 minutes of this game, the secondary looked pretty good, all things considered. But at some point, you just give that guy, Herbert enough time, and he's got a super quick release. And they just started finding a ton of holes in the zone, Rivera went to St. Just. But by the way, give credit to our writer Dave Earl, who was at the game. I talked to him right before the game. He said, from his view in the stadium, which we can't see on on TV, that St. Just routinely didn't turn around to look at the ball. That was Dave's input into it. That it was hard to tell on TV. So I thought I placed the blame on the front four in this game.
Oh, I do too. I also place a little bit of it on the coaching staff with the rotation of the front four. In that first drive, one thing I think everyone picked up on.
I missed the first drive.
Oh, okay.
That was
right.
when I was
you had
having
some
my
issues
problems.
and couldn't watch the opening. So
it certainly was not with an illegal site that I was trying to watch the game.
No.
That. Yeah.
Anyway, so in the first drive, they were facing a critical third down, and you had both Montez Sweat and Chase Young on the sideline. That makes no sense. Look, I get you want to rotate guys in and keep guys fresh.
What the heck kind of rotation is that?
Yeah, it's 3rd and 5 or it was 3rd and 10, and you have both those guys out, and so one of the backups gets a offsides penalty. That's unacceptable.
Is it 3rd and 10 when you would want your 2 supposedly hypothetically elite pass rushers out there?
Yeah, you always want your best 4 all your best guys should be out there. Your best 11 players should be out there. None of players 12 through 22 should not be out there. I'm
glad you mentioned that. I mean, I obviously didn't see that because I didn't see the drive.
Yeah.
Wow, that's
it was a puzzler, is what it was.
Yeah. But I think it was. And by the way, I also noticed that who didn't get a ton of playing time? Jamin Davis.
Yeah. If he was in there, you didn't really see him do anything.
Yeah, he was credited with 2 tackles. But
really?
But more often than he was credited. I didn't even notice, to be honest, until I just saw the stats.
Those seem like pity tackles, honestly.
But Washington was going with Bostic and Holcomb, for the most part, when they're in their nickel package, which was a lot. So
right.
It was mostly Holcomb and Bostic, which is, I guess that shouldn't surprise anybody. They did give Davis a shot in the preseason. He didn't really look very good.
No,
didn't really do much.
And look, in their defense,
he's a rookie. I'm not criticizing. I'm not criticizing. He's a rookie.
And in their defense, even the coaching staff has said, "Look, this is going to take some time for him to come along and be there." Okay, I'm willing to give a rookie time. He's a rookie. If you're going to do it with any, like a quarterback or any other position, you got to do it with this guy too. But yeah, it was kind of frustrating, especially when it comes to linebackers, to see Holcomb and Bostic got beat repeatedly, in the flats, and they just were playing out of position a whole lot, not kind of tracking on the pass game where things might be going. That was very frustrating to see. So
yeah, I agree. if you want positives out of this from the defense out of this game, I thought William Jackson was fairly positive. Was a fairly big positive.
Yeah.
He's as advertised in terms of his ability to cover to play in man coverage.
Yeah.
I mean, they're facing an elite quarterback that had no pressure and has a lightning quick release. I mean, at some point these passes are going to get caught.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, I mean the Chargers. I counted 6 drops.
Mm-hmm.
What I considered 6 drops. They had a ton of drops. It could have been worse. And especially with the interception there at the goal line and all of that, which ended up being a touchdown anyway, I guess.
Yeah.
So I guess it didn't matter.
Yeah.
But anyway, I thought William Jackson was a positive. He looks to be as advertised. I like Dave Earl's input from the stands that St. Just has talent, but needs to learn to turn his head. That was a good input from Dave. But beyond that, I think this game could have been a lot worse. And let me tell you something. I have never seen a worse call. Never seen a worse call than that fumble through the end zone thing. That was so obviously an incomplete pass. And yes, I'll take it. I'm a Washington fan. I'll take it.
Right.
But that was so obviously a pass. What a horrible, horrible, horrible call. My God. And then the Joey Bosa roughing call.
Yeah.
Jesus. I mean, it's just a terrible, terrible call.
The officiating was bad all game. I mean, they missed a clear face mask on Gibson early on. It's funny that fumble that was clearly not a fumble that you're talking about. We saw one by Washington earlier in the game, too, where Fitzpatrick threw one that was clearly a forward pass, and they're like, oh, no, it's a fumble. Now, his wasn't in that kind of critical situation, so I guess it didn't matter as much. But that was equally badly called. And I guess they were saying on the broadcast that, this is a new rule of emphasis, and it's like, so the new rule is we're just going to call things that are forward passes fumbles?
It's just so stupid. It's just ridiculous. Yeah. And so the game, it really and truly could have been worse. I mean, they would have at least got 3 out of that. I mean, you can't give them a touchdown, but they were going to get 3 at a minimum. And all those drop passes probably cost them some points. And so you got to figure, you hand them another 7 points out of that because of all that stuff. It
was a poorly called game. It edges out in Washington's favor, but they had bad calls all around.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, that was, and it might be one of the worst calls I've ever seen in a football game, too.
I thought my initial reaction, which is probably hyperbole in my mind, but my initial reaction on that fumble through the end zone thing was maybe the worst call I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And again, that's probably hyperbole because it's in the moment, but that was certainly up there with one of them.
Oh,
it's up there with like the missed pass interference in the Saints New Orleans game in the NFC Championship game. It was that bad a call to me.
Right.
Not that situation, but
I mean, it definitely goes up there, and we were all focused, I think, on the refs calling needless taunting penalties. We didn't realize even that this other nonsense might happen. That's kind of what's going on with refereeing these days. So one thing you probably didn't see, Steve, since you're not on social media, I assume you didn't hear about the sewage spill in the stadium.
No, I hadn't heard about that. This is new to me.
Okay, so anyone who's on social media, go to Twitter. Barstool has the video. Everyone's got the video now. Just kind of search sewage FedEx Field. In the middle of the game, in one of the lower tiers, some kind of sewage pipe broke over the seats, and there's toilet water. Drainage toilet water, the best of the toilet water, spilling out over people's seats.
Is that not the most Washington thing in the history of football?
Oh, my God. And is it not very apt for what's going on with this season?
It's symbolic of the entire franchise.
Yeah.
We're going to literally dump raw sewage on the fans.
Yes,
that is,
exactly.
If I've not heard of something that's like a Shakespearean level symbol right there.
It is. It really is.
We're going to literally dump sewage. I'm going to have to look that up. I'm going to have to break my Twitter rule and go look that up on Twitter.
I don't know how a pipe with, sewage drainage is exploding over that. I don't even know, if you're doing the architecture of a stadium, why are sewage drainage pipes going over people's heads?
Who knows? I mean, that may be legit, but
that might be.
The fact that it burst.
I might talk to my architect brother and see if he could explain that to me.
The fact that it decided to burst in the 4-hour period of time in which there are fans in the stadium is truly the most Washington thing I've ever heard.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, it really is.
Can we just
was
blow this stadium up, please?
yeah. I don't know if you can set a stadium like that on fire. Just burn the stadium to the ground at this point.
Wait, see, I'm a real estate guy. I know these things. What we need to do is hire. There are companies out there that do this professionally, and so they set explosives in key spots in the structural spots.
Do demolition. I thought you meant burning like the low key electric fire thing.
No, I meant like it's time to demo and destroy the stadium.
Right. Yeah, it is.
Holy cow! Sewage dropping on fans. My goodness.
Steve.
I wonder if that's covered by the liability release on the tickets.
Yeah, like because I was going to say
like Girardia or something.
Like I know you're not licensed to practice in Maryland necessarily,
No,
but
I'm not.
There might be some lawsuits that somebody could hop onto.
I mean, again, it's an interesting legal question because there's a liability release that comes with the purchase of the ticket.
Right.
Does a liability release include and go up to something as ridiculous as raw sewage being dumped on you? So if you get a Giardia infection,
I'm willing to bet
it's an
you
interesting
the
thought.
liability thing does not include this.
I don't even want to go. God Almighty.
Yeah. Go look up the video. I think you'll be amused, if nothing else.
I'm gonna do that. I won't do it live on the air, but as soon as we get off the air, I'm gonna look that up. That's just wow.
Yeah. All right. Anything else we want to talk about in this game, or we?
Yes.
Okay.
No, I do.
What do you got in your notes?
DeAndre Carter.
DeAndre Carter. Okay. As I'm calling
DeAndre
him
Carter.
Ace Carter.
Yeah, that's apropos because I think he didn't have wonderful numbers. He was 3 for 65 on kick returns,
right.
2 for 22 on punt returns. But everybody needs to understand something. They said it on the broadcast, but if you've been following my game previews all year last year, you know this. Washington special teams were the worst, and they have been the worst in the league for years. They're horrible.
In terms of returns, yes, they are terrible.
Just awful.
Coverage, okay. Punting, great. Returns.
Yeah, even coverage, they're not great in coverage. But, yeah, returns are just terrible. Andre Carter puts them squarely, at least in the middle, in the realm of competent.
Right.
So I had that in my notes.
Anytime you are averaging 10 yards a return on punts, that's huge. That 10 is among the best in the league.
Anytime you don't get a series of fair catches, 52
fair catches and things that should be easy catches turned into fumbles, those are not what you want, like we've had the last 3 years.
Yeah. But in terms of what was on my notes, I mean, I think we've covered it pretty much. The stuff that I already talked about, the stuff we highlighted here. So, I think that's it. Carter was my one other note. So.
Yeah. Man, it's going to be interesting. We have a game in 4 days now. We don't know who our quarterback's going to be. That's fun.
Do we have a Thursday game? Are you telling me this week's a Thursday game?
Yep.
Is it really?
Yep.
I hope you guys appreciate the effort we go through for these Thursday
games.
They're the worst. Because I hate Thursday games.
Hey, you want to? And I'll say this on there. My boss told me, hey, be prepared. We might have to work nights and weekends the next few weeks.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Are you telling me I'm going to be by myself?
I don't know. I don't know what the actual plan is in my work. So I might be killing myself the next few weeks, especially with the Thursday game. So we'll find out about that, when we can.
At least we're getting the Thursday game over with.
Yeah.
If we have to do it, at least it's going to be done.
It's like a colonoscopy. If you got to do it, just get it over with.
Yeah, that's right. If somebody has to stick a pipe up your butt, let's just do it. Because that's what Thursday games feel like.
Yeah.
Because Washington's always atrocious in them, too.
Right.
And
Washington actually feels like a colonoscopy post.
It's almost kind of like having raw sewage dumped on you.
That's a burst pipe. That's a little different.
Oh.
All right.
Man.
Okay.
We got to give game balls, right?
Yep.
We have to.
Yep. Okay, guys.
It's almost too fun to not give game balls.
Okay. All right. Game balls. Jeez, I don't know who I can give one to on defense. I can't give one to anyone on defense, honestly. I'm gonna pull what you do. I'm giving it to the Chargers. Let me give it to Herbert.
Amen, brother.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. The Chargers get the defensive game ball because our defense blows as far as this week.
They did today.
Yeah. And on offense, it's not much better, honestly. Who caught the touchdown? Logan Thomas?
Logan Thomas caught
All
the
right,
touchdown.
you get it, Logan Thomas. Congratulations. No, hold on. I got to take that back. Terry McLaurin made the greatest catch I've ever seen. Terry McLaurin gets it for that play. That's it.
Yeah, that was what I was going to do, too.
Okay.
Terry McLaurin on offense, because, it was an unbelievable catch.
Yeah.
And on defense, since you already gave it to the Chargers, I'm going to give a deflated game ball to William Jackson, because, he did have his moments. He
had the interception.
Probably
yeah,
I had the interception. His plays as advertised. And when you're facing a great quarterback who doesn't have a pass rush against him, people are going to catch balls.
Yeah.
As simple as that. So William Jackson, not one he'll be proud of. It's a deflated ball, but there you go.
Right. Our deflated game balls. There you go. All right, guys, that should wrap us up for this week. We will be back in a day or two with our pregame show because, we have to do that. I don't know, tomorrow. I don't know, honestly.
We'll figure it out here in a minute once we get off the air.
All right, guys, we will see you then, though. Bye.